the CEO traveled to the countryside to visit his fiancée, but to her shock, he told her flat out, he would never marry a rural woman. He even claimed that his parents must have been fooled by her. Outraged, the woman shoved him aside. She snapped back, saying he had no right to look down on her. She then questioned, if it weren't for your parents, what would you even be? Without another word, she stomped her dirty shoe right onto his foot. The CEO yelped, yelling at her to get her filthy shoes off him. She casually told him to get lost, patted his chest, and turned to leave. When the CEO tried to call his parents and report what happened, he was stunned to find that his own men had already driven off in his car. With no other options, he hitched a ride in an old, beat-up truck that dropped him off in a nearby town. But he wanted to return to the city. He tried asking the driver why they were still in the village, but since he didn't understand the local dialect, they ended up parting ways. Meanwhile, the woman also returned to the same town. There, she stumbled upon a scene where a thug was threatening a father and daughter. To her disbelief, the thug demanded that the family mortgage their farmland, just to pay for the girl's education. The girl offered herself in marriage to the thug, saying that if she became his wife, he wouldn't seize their land. The woman was heartbroken by the girl's situation. She immediately stepped in and stopped the thug. The girl pushed the thug away, and the woman insisted the child had every right to go back to school. She then got into a fierce confrontation with the thug. Just then, the CEO saw what was happening. He grabbed a golf club and tried to help the woman. To everyone's surprise, it actually worked. The girl then invited the CEO to her home, but before they walked in, she warned him not to mention anything about marriage to her family. Once inside, the woman prepared a meal, but the CEO turned up his nose at the food she had made. The woman tried to keep her cool. Then the CEO told her he wanted to go back home. To his surprise, the woman made a request of her own. She knew he could operate a grain harvester, so she asked him to help her harvest the rice the next day. That way, she could pay him the fare to return to the city. Reluctantly, the CEO agreed. The next morning, they headed to the rice fields. The woman told him to get on the harvester. He immediately climbed in, only for the machine to sit completely still. She opened the cab and realized he had no idea how to use it. She told him to get down. She wanted him to see what she could really do. Then, all on her own, she finished the entire harvest. The CEO stood in the fields, stunned, watching her work in amazement. At noon, she made a hearty lunch for them. She even gave him money for the trip back home. She knew he didn't belong in the countryside, but this way, he could go home and explain things to his parents. That night, a violent storm rolled in. The CEO was woken by the thunder. He got up, he ran to the fields, and only then realized the woman was out in the rain, helping villagers harvest the rice before it got ruined. But exhausted, she suddenly collapsed. The CEO rushed over and carried her home. He carefully cleaned her wounds and applied medicine. The pain woke her up. She immediately remembered the rice wasn't all in yet, and tried to get back to work. But the CEO gently pushed her back down into the seat. He was afraid her injuries would get worse if they got wet. She had no choice but to stay put and agree. The next morning, the